Hello again. This is Charlie Belfontaine, and you're listening to the Homebuyers Hour on WCPT AM 820, where the facts matter. And we got a little bit of. I think it does. So with us, we have a brand new EV owner, Ryan.mckane, another relatively new EV owner, Patrick Loftus, and another relatively new EV owner, Joey Matthews. Patrick. Ryan, if you don't mind, can you give us the rundown and your contact information?
Yep. My name is Ryan.mckane. I've been a realtor for about just over 20 years here in the Chicagoland area. And you can contact me by my cell at 708-668-6613 or email ryan.mckane at redfin.com.
Excellent. And Patrick, please give us the rundown.
Yeah, with that introduction, one of two things has just happened. Everyone who is in their car driving an EV cannot wait to hear what we have to say. Everyone who's not has turned to another channel. So, well done, I suppose.
I am sorry, but EVs rule.
Oh my God.
All right.
Pathetic. You know how
I am pathetic.
You know how
I'm
you
going to
tell someone has an
concede.
EV. Don't worry.
tell ya.
Nothing. They'll tell you. It'll be like the first thing they say. It's the vegan CrossFit, whatever culty weird thing people are into. They just can't shut up about it.
Frisbees, hula hoops. I remember all those. You know.
Well, yeah. Let's move on. My name is Patrick Loftus. I am a real estate lawyer. If you were buying or selling a house, you would get me involved, make sure things go smoothly. You can find me on social media. On Instagram, I am at Loftus_law. On TikTok, I am at Loftus Law. I post all the time, and, follow me. Come on.
Outstanding. Joey, please give us the rundown.
Why, hello. Joey Matthews, the VA loan nerd. Am I super loud on your guys' end?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to step back significantly.
No.
I'm on the other side of my room now.
We're in the
Anyway.
wrong studio, so we don't have any sexy music for Joey. But if all of you could just imagine "Careless Whisper" by George Michael while he introduces himself, that would be really useful. So Joey, by all means.
Okay. Well, Joey Matthews, NMLS 1330694, the VA loan nerd. You can find me at thevaloannerd.com or across all the social medias as at the VA Loan Nerd, or if you're driving around in Arizona, there's a stupid Cybertruck with a VA Loan Nerd wrap. That's me.
Stupid nothing.
It's
That
so
thing
horrible.
rocks.
I
It's
like
so
it.
Dang it.
horrible.
You can call or text me at 630-235-2405.
And Joey, I want to get into the EV stuff and upgrading your home, but tell me about the rates and what's going. I know that a whole bunch of people that I follow on Facebook, and yeah, Patrick's going to boomer me. He's laughing at me right now because I like to follow Facebook.
I heard on Facebook that.
Exactly. But they're all talking about, hey, our rates are dropping, blah, blah, blah. Is that true?
Somewhat, yeah. So last Monday, we saw, obviously after the Nikkei 225 sell off, we sold off in the NASDAQ, the Dow, S&P as well. But we saw a recovery Monday evening through Thursday, and then yesterday, our producer price index came in slightly short of expectation. Today, inflation data mostly CPI came back basically at expectation. Tomorrow is going to be the last big data point for this week with retail sales. If that comes back in at 0% or negative again, like it did a couple months ago, then I would see the return of what we saw Monday of last week. But overall, rates are a bit lower than they were 2 weeks ago.
Okay. Well, that's exciting news.
Well, if Joey said it and he thinks that the stock market is going to go down, buy.
And that's to Joey is everything
bye.
about all that. So tell me about your Cybertruck, Joey. I'm getting right into the ZV stuff, and everybody's shaking their heads at me. But how are you charging that thing? Did you put something in the house?
Yeah, I installed the Tesla wall charger myself because that's how my brain works. I refuse to pay someone to do something I can do myself. It was easy. I didn't even turn off the circuit breaker.
Wait, whoa. I'm stupid, and I turn it off. What are you talking about?
Because I wired up, and all I'm doing is plug it in the clip.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, so I didn't die.
Well, that's a good thing that you didn't die and stuff like that. But, and that's where I was going. It's always having that plug-in charger, that level 2 charger inside your home, that's like the most glorious thing in the world. I come home, I pack the truck in, and I plug this thing in, and it's 100% charged, and I can go another 250 miles in a day. And I know I don't drive that much. It is beautiful.
You back into your own garage?
Yes, I have to back in because I put the...
This is the most firefighter thing ever, right? I mean, if I could back a fire truck into a firehouse, I could back my F-150 Lightning into my garage.
Does your F-150 have a self-parking feature or no?
They turned it off for the year that I bought it.
Okay.
And it's funny because when we were shopping for a car for my wife, we were looking at the Audi 8, something 5, I think it is.
Yeah.
And which is also a plug-in hybrid. They had that. I'm getting excited. I can't even talk straight. This is amazing.
I'm going to be right back. I got someone that just walked in.
All right, and then so we did that, and it had the auto park feature, and we went to test it, and we held the button down for the auto park, and that thing just whipped us right around, and we thought it was going to launch us out in the middle of Milwaukee Avenue up there. We're like, okay, we're done with this one.
Yeah, I'm scared of it. Mine has that, and the one time I tried it, parking in my space in my condo, it looked like it was about to just shotgun me right into my neighbor's car. I was like, no.
Yeah, I'm out. I'm sure that they'll get that stuff going, but I don't use obviously I don't have it, so, and I don't know if they would ever add it on.
Yeah.
That comes on there. But yeah, we took a little road trip too, and I just don't use the superchargers unless, we drive down to Bloomington or something like that. But we took a little road trip to Indiana, and they have, I think it's I-80 or something, 90, whatever it is. But all the Oases, they got nothing but like a dozen Tesla superchargers at every single one of these things.
Nice. That's
And, now that Ford opened the Tesla chargers up, Ford and Rivian, I think, can use them, and I know Toyota's coming. They just charge that truck so fast. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's
20
like
minutes.
1,000 volts or something like that push this thing through it, and that could, even though they're quoted at 150 kilowatts that comes in there, and nobody ever gets that kind of power that comes into the truck, but I can go from almost 0 to 80% in 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that's amazing, especially when you get old and you have trouble peeing. Sometimes it takes that 20 minutes, all right? So it works out perfect. In fact, so much, it takes me so long, I actually get worried that I'm going to have to start paying idle time, So it comes out to like, 40 cents a minute while you're charging, and it's $1 a minute if you go over your charge period, and it turns you off for waiting. So that much I kind of cried about. Patrick's laughing at me because I'm just really throwing the old man out there, aren't I?
I'm wondering, Devin, take note of when he talked about, being an old man and having old man issues. You may want to, massage
It's
some
coming.
of that out.
No, it's coming. You're all going to get old, all right? I don't care how pretty you young whippersnappers are. You're going to get there, too.
It's going to happen.
It is. I was young once.
Yeah, so I have the Toyota BZ4X, which is the dumbest name for a car that anyone's ever come up with. But I do enjoy the car. It is a lovely car to own, and I got it for a great price. Just so y'all know that.
Mr.
I'm
Frugal?
a master negotiator. But we've included as a year of free charging at the EV Go stations, so I'll
Man, that's such a deal.
I love it. I head up to Whole Foods, get myself a coffee and grab my laptop, fire off a few emails, and all of a sudden, bada bing, bada boom, I got 85-90%, and I'm good to go.
Devin is asking a pretty good question, Patrick, and I think it's geared at you. He wants to know why you wouldn't back your car into a garage.
Why wouldn't I back my car into a garage? Because it's easier to go forward into.
It's easier to go forward out of the garage.
I mean, I'm thinking like, when you start, when you're unnecessarily backing into things. I mean, it's just why do I want the added effort? I mean, I park in a condo parking garage, right? And I've got a parking neighbor on each side of me. I just don't need the hassle of trying to navigate into that parking space without dinging one of my neighbors.
No, I
Yeah.
got you. And with all the cameras that are on these vehicles, it's actually pretty easy for me to back in there.
There's too many cameras.
You know?
It's ridiculous.
Because where my spot is at my building, I have no choice but to back it in. I can't pull it in.
You guys are all backing your cars in?
So yeah, I have to.
Oh my God,
I have no choice.
When
so.
Devin does
when
too.
I'm driving, so the majority of the people, so
Are normal.
I just want
the
y'all to
majority
know,
of the people are normal.
there are like 150 parking spots in our garage, and I based on that data, most people are not backing into their spaces. So just because you guys outnumber me 3-1 doesn't mean that you're the normal ones. It means that we're out. I mean, just like there's an outsized number of people on this particular show who have EVs. It doesn't mean that all of a sudden everyone in the world has an EV. Okay,
They're
so
all following
you
me.
guys
I'm
are
a
the weird ones.
trendsetter.
Ryan apparently has an excuse. You
I'm
are
just
just a
weird.
firefighter who's got to, who can't shake his old habits. And if if Joey comes back and I find out he's backing that stupid
You know he
Cybertruck
is.
into his garage, now I'm going to be judging him as well. So there's only so much judging I can do in one go. So come on.
Well, to tie it into real estate.
Thank you. I was just gonna
I was
ask
just
this.
thinking is because a recent survey showed, I think it was Zillow or it might have been Zillow, but that about a third of millennials are buying houses for the sole purpose of having more space for their dog.
Nice.
So I don't see why a huge percentage of home buyers wouldn't be searching for a home specifically for their electric vehicle, or builders just automatically putting in those chargers in the new construction homes, or something along
It
those
does
lines.
have to be wired for that for
Yeah.
new construction homes. That is a change in the codes that we put in there. Like I had anything to do with it. That was put in there. So, but they don't have to actually energize it, but they have to run the conduit and make sure that it's pre-piped and ready
Yeah,
to go.
That makes
Yeah.
sense. That
If I
makes
was a
sense.
builder, it would kind of go without saying that you want to make your product as broadly appealing as possible, and making sure, just with the ubiquity of EVs these days, I don't know what percentage of vehicles owned or sold are electric vehicles, but it's definitely something you have to consider as a builder. Just like when high-speed internet was becoming more of a need than a want or a luxury. And there was kind of like a space in between dial-up and the AOL CDs that everyone used as coasters, and the ubiquity of Wi-Fi, where builders were like, we've got to consider making sure that we have the home wired for high-speed internet. But also, I mean, I would say that any house built probably after 2000 probably has at least one plug where you can plug in your router or whatever you need to access the high speed to get to your Wi-Fi router.
Yeah, it wasn't in the codes when I remodeled my house, and I forgot about it. All right, to put that source in there, the power source for the router in there. So I had to fish it in after the drywall was put on, which was a pain in the butt.
Well, you can get Facebook pretty much without a problem with dial-up. So that's probably where you were at with your thought process.
Yeah, AOL is a little bit of trouble. CompuServe, I think I got onto that okay. Thank you. And yes, I did get your little diggy reference there. And this is why nobody likes
I mean,
you,
it
Patrick.
wasn't little. It was like right there. Just chuck it right down Main Street.
Even Devin here is calling you a bad driver because you cannot back into a parking spot.
You can kiss my ass.
So let's get that might be cut out. Who knows?
You can say that, or I can
Well,
say
let's talk.
This is a donkey. I'm talking about a donkey.
All right, here's an interesting stat that I read, that 19% of EV drivers or buyers state that they will not go back to a combustion engine. I'm going to be part of the, 81%. I am part of the 81%. Patrick, what say you?
Yeah, no. I can't foresee, unless I were to get like just a fabulous deal, I can't foresee going back. And I've wanted to make the shift from combustion to EV for quite some time.
I
and
did too.
So this is just a making that come to fruition. And yeah, nothing about having this. Now, I reserve the right to have a different answer
Yeah.
in March.
Right.
Let me have my first winter with an EV,
Right.
because I've heard from everyone who will not shut their mouth about when they have an EV, and it's just like, did you know I have an EV? Oh my God. Let me tell you all about it.
I have an EV.
Yeah, yeah, EV. Okay, he doesn't have EV. Never mind. But yeah, I've heard the winter can be a little bit of a rough go, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Like, I'll see how the winter goes, and then I'll make my decision. But I mean, with just how they're becoming more and more prevalent, the technology's getting better. They're installing more chargers everywhere. Unless this winter is horrendous and I have a really bad experience, I don't see why I would need to go back. But I wouldn't rule it out completely. But I just don't see why I would have to.
And let me add one thing. I'm kind of the wrong person to ask that question, dude, because it's most likely to be my wife who would drive that decision. So, to be honest,
it's in most of our families and stuff like that, and that's not a problem to me. I'm actually okay with that. Here's another interesting thing. We mark down in our home inspection reports if a house has 100 amps, which, quite frankly, I think is just fine. All right. But we've been putting down that this might be marginal and you might want to consider an upgrade in service. And when I do the Zoom calls with the clients afterwards, they're like, I thought 100 amps is normal. And I'm like, well, it is. And so the real question now comes up, do you own an electric vehicle or do you plan on, purchasing one? I'm hearing roughly 50% of my clients that really want to consider putting level 2 chargers in their home, and that they're going to want, to put that. And sometimes you got to upgrade the electricity. 100 amps, you could do it. A small, single family Chicago bungalow, one air conditioning unit, a refrigerator, and everything else is a gas appliance. And especially if it's like a 1.5, 2.5 tons, so you're looking at 30 amps for your air conditioning. Everything else is basically minute. And if you throw in a super level 2 charger, you'll probably be at 48 amps. Now, if you go with one of the Ford heavy duty ones, those are at 80 amps. And I don't know, Joey, what is the Cybertruck? How many amps is that thing?
I have a 60 amp breaker on that.
60 amp breakers. So then you ran a number 6 wire, and that's probably a 48 amp level 2 charger on there.
Correct.
All right. Yeah, you like the way I rattle those numbers off?
It's like
Huh?
it's like watching Rain Man. Or like A Beautiful Mind.
Which one? Which Rain Man guy? You talking, oh my God,
There's only one. Dustin Hoffman.
If you start asking what time
Tom
Jeopardy's
Cruise
on.
or Dustin Hoffman? I know I look
How
like
many
Tom
toothpicks?
Cruise.
the bald Dustin Hoffman. Yeah, there we go.
They're still good-looking people. You leave them alone.
Of course, the Cybertruck needs some ungodly amount of amperage to eke out some pathetic charge. It's ridiculous.
Well, with their new level 4 chargers that they're putting on the
We
road,
have level 4 now?
yeah, level 4 are going to be the. I forgot
Welcome
if
to
it's.
the Thunderdome, Patrick.
Seriously, it's all about that. Cybertruck is the number one thing, and I forgot there is another vehicle that has like 800 volts, and I don't even know. Most wires are rated for only 600 volts, and so it's like, how the heck are you going to push 800 volts? That much power. How are you going to insulate that to keep that from jumping out
Like
and
a
sparking
bowling
people?
ball through a garden hose.
In a nutshell, absolutely. But as they say, it's not the volts, it's the amps. All right, and if you want to go into all that stuff, I'm more than happy to. All right, I'm big nerding things. But Ryan, where I was going with all that in the beginning is, a lot of people want to sell their house. They always want to improve the value on it. Even though this is our homes and we want to enjoy it, we still want to make money off of it.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, so let's take that conversation and somehow, what are some of the best things or, future things that are going to be happening that is going to make your house more attractive than the competitor's home?
Sure. And, I would say having an EV charger in the garage, I would say it just, roughly speaking, it appeals to maybe, in my experience, maybe one out of every 5 buyers. Maybe.
All right, 20%.
It could be a little bit higher than that by now. the one thing that I have not really seen impress people, even if they are like environmentally conscious, is solar systems yet. Most people don't really get that excited about them. But I think the standard, kitchens and baths, focus on those, and you don't need to spend a fortune. You could do little things like just painting your cabinets. You can, even adding LED lights, that sort of thing. But it's always going to be kitchens and baths is where you can get the most bang for your buck as far as a return on investment.
But putting a urinal in your garage is probably not going to
would
get
you
it done.
behave? I don't have a urinal in my garage.
I haven't heard that,
Yes.
but now I kind of want to do that.
Did you hear Joey? He goes, yet.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. It comes in there. But things are going to be changing. There's going to be more and more things that are desirable. I mean, we go back to, probably post-World War II homes. They didn't have air conditioning in most homes.
Yeah.
But now it's kind of a must. You're not going to really. I mean, I still do inspections for houses that only have steam or hydronic heat, and they haven't put in air conditioning units in. But now with the whole thing about mini splits, I think that's going to be making that whole world change.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I know that's one thing I want to put out in our garage. I figure if I'm going to put solar panels on that thing, and I'm damn well going to heat and cool it, that comes in there.
Do you spend a lot of time out in your garage?
I do now.
Yeah, well, it takes them 20 minutes to, use the urinal.
There is no urinal in my garage.
So says you.
Yeah. You should go like trough style, like at Wrigley. Just...
I almost got beat up at Wrigley Field bathroom one time.
Oh dear, I don't want to hear this story.
No, I can't say it there. The story
Is there an NDA involved?
No, there wasn't, but there was alcohol involved. If that helps you imagine what could have gone wrong.
Was somebody being
The statute of
a
limitations.
National Geographic bird watcher, or what was going on?
Hey, Charlie, nice wristwatch, buddy.
I just made I was slightly inebriated, and the comment went something like, hey, that looks like a blank, only smaller. And I thought it was funny. The big muscle guy that was next to me, he didn't find the humor in that. So, yeah, that was, needless to say, thank God I had a few friends with me. We got out of there pretty quick.
Yeah,
And I don't have a urinal in my garage.
I don't believe you, but I have a strict policy of you keep your mouth shut when you're in the bathroom. I'm sorry. If you even think you're going to glance over at the person next to you, that's all. You've already overstepped.
But
and
that's
then you're
the
going to open
glory
your
of
mouth.
a Wrigley Field bathroom. There's so many guys in there. Not one sound is being said in there, and everybody's afraid to speak. You can just talk normally, and you're right on top of everybody.
This is why I'm a Sox fan. There's one of many reasons. Not once.
So this is where all this stuff hangs out.
Because on the south side, you will get the ever-living crap knocked out of you if you try to pull that move.
That might be true, but
My lord.
yeah, it's I was a
Homebuyer's
young
hour.
pup back there, that comes in there. So kitchens and bathrooms, we got a. I don't know how to transition back.
Best segue ever. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, listen, Charlie. Kitchens and bathrooms, the most obvious. So speaking of bathrooms and toilets, I mean, come on, that's the segue. We're literally talking about bathrooms, and you fluffed it right there, man. You just
No, but there's some houses we go into. You listen to some people, they want to spend $5,000 on a bathroom. And then I have other clients that are, we were going to budget $120,000 for a bathroom. And, our smallest kitchen, these are some of the designers that are up in the North Shore area. I call them up to get prices on cabinets for my little farmhouse in Wilmette, right? And they come back and say, our smallest kitchen that we do is typically around $50,000.
Wow.
Well, you're wowing. Why are you wowing? I mean, do you get that money back or not?
Yeah, I mean, certainly in this market right now, you certainly
It is
would.
crazy busy.
You would, but not always. It's not always the case. But I mean, yeah, for the most part, it's hard to quantify what your dollar per dollar spent versus return. I mean, generally speaking, yes, you'll see that money. You'll see that money back, and certainly if it's not a direct dollar amount, let's just say your home would sell much quicker if you do it versus if you didn't, because that's the first thing that most people look at.
And right now, with the market being as hot as it is, and I'm a little confused because I am talking to other competitors. We stay in touch all the time. A lot of people are telling me they're slow,
Yeah.
and yet we're still swamped.
Yeah, yeah. It's still, it's all, it's very market dependent. If somebody is not, it depends on what market they serve. If they're serving the city, they're serving the surrounding suburbs. I think it's still pretty active. I would say, to say the least. And it's also property type dependent. Condos are really slow right now.
Well, this is something that the two of you might have to do a lot of educating. The two of you, I'm pointing at Patrick and Ryan. And Joey, I don't know if you get into this or not, but I almost have to tell people I don't do this every time I talk to them, is explaining to somebody how much, I've always used the term power, but I believe the proper term is leverage, and when you're negotiating in real estate, I try to explain to them principle of the item doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter if your electric system is unsafe. It matters how much leverage
that actually
you have.
does matter.
Well,
I mean, in the
all right,
grand scheme of
explain
things.
more.
Well, okay. So first of all, let me. So many things. There's a couple of things that I want to kind of pull back, and then I'll answer the question. Yeah. Number one, when you talk about when you're having this conversation with your clients about this is a 100 amp service, and if you're going to want to add things in the future like big amperage, big amperage systems like a EV charger. When you have that conversation, I think by and large, at least in the general market we have today, you can have that conversation, but I wouldn't necessarily encourage people to start asking sellers to upgrade the
No.
service. That's really, it's not, you're not going to get very far with that. Upgrades are upgrades. If the seller decides they want to do an upgrade that because it suits them, that's for the seller to decide to do. And really when it comes to doing an upgrade, whether it's kitchen, bathroom, whatever, do it for you. Do it for you. I don't necessarily
It's
think
the smartest thing ever.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think you should, because what's going to happen. If you ever seen that show, and I hate referencing HGTV because it's such an unrealistic thing, but that Love It or List It show, I don't think I've ever seen them not stay in the house that got renovated instead of moving to the house that the guy shows them. It's so what you're going to end up doing is I'm going to do a bunch of upgrades to the kitchen and the bathroom, and then you're going to end up staying in the house, and you're not going to end up selling it anyway. So do it because it works for you.
Yeah.
But so
That's a life lesson I learned the hard way. We lived in Elmhurst for 10 years, and my house needed to be painted, and I never painted it. But then we wanted to sell it, and I said, we got to paint this to sell it. And I painted it, and I loved it, and I didn't want to move anymore. But we still ended up moving. I didn't get a chance
Not
to
uncommon.
enjoy it.
yeah, well, you paint, paint before.
Paint
Yeah,
before. Make it so you can enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, if you've, like when I was considering selling my place a few years ago, I did get it painted in anticipation because it literally had not done a thing in the unit for the 12 years at that point that I owned it. It needed it at that point, whether I was going to stay. And now we ended up staying there, and so I did get to end up enjoying it, so that's great. But another thing you mentioned is it's hard to figure out what's going on with the market because you've got competitors who are slow and you're not slow. I mean, that's really a reflection. If your business is strictly tied as far as how busy you are to the greater market, I think that says something about your business, not necessarily whether or not it's slow. Okay, because regardless of how the market is or what's going on, there's always going to be people buying or selling homes right? So it's not that there's not a pie there, it's just that there's less of it to go around. And you've got an upward amount, there's only so much work you can do. And so as the excess kind of spills over into the smaller fish, they get to eat too. But when there's less excess, there's not enough to go around, and you're gobbling all up because you're one of the bigger boys. You're a bigger boy.
I'm evil.
You're a bigger boy.
I'm on a diet. Jeez almighty, you got to be so rough on
Now, you
it.
talked about leverage. Let me just
Yeah,
I'll
that's
finally
the
answer
key.
your question, right? it really has to do with the individual transaction, the individuals and the transaction itself. Now, they may take some cues from the greater market or what they've heard or what they've read, but it just is going to depend. I had a client, we're going to be closing next week on the sale of their home, and the buyer asked for $10,000 for, squat, right? And I'm just like,
That was my client.
I'm like, we should offer them zip. And my client's like, I just want it done with. Let's offer him $7,000. I was like, $7,000. I was like,
They'll
if you
jump on that.
really want, like, I'm not here to tell you what to do. But I've known these people, 25, 30 years. So yeah, I felt I could be a little bit more sort of not
They're
aggressive,
friends.
but
Yeah.
just like, hey, between us, I think if you gave them 0, they'd probably still buy the place. But if they're like, well, what about 5? I was like, let's do 5. And the buyer snapped their hand off for the 5 because the 10 was outrageous anyway. So it's like in the market would dictate we're offering them zip. This particular seller said, I for my own personal needs, I want to offer them 5 so that I have less things to worry about. That's just one example of where the transaction itself is going to show you the way as far as leverage. And that's kind of what I have to say about that stuff.
Give us your contact information, Patrick.
Find me on social media, on Instagram at Loftus_law, on TikTok at LoftusLaw.
And Patrick, please. I'm sorry, Patrick. Ryan. Ryan, can you give us your contact information, please?
Sure. It's my cell is 708-668-6613, and my email address is Ryan.mckane, and that's spelled MCKANE at Redfin.com. And also my social media is RPM, like the restaurant, but I'm not the restaurant. RPM Chicago.
Sounds good. And Joey, give us your contact information, and then we have an online question for you.
All right, but I'm not going to let Patrick do it with the Forrest Gump quote and not have it be brought up. That's all I have to say about that. Anyway, Joey Matthews, the VA loan nerd, call or text me at 630-235-2405. Hit me at the VALoanNerd.com or across all the social medias as at the VA Loan Nerd.
All right, so April M., she's a home inspector. I know she's on the East Coast, and I honestly don't know what state she's in. But she wrote up, interested to hear how low you guys think the interest rates for home buying is going to go. I read that it's expected to drop through possibly October, November. If you already discussed, I apologize. And then do you think home insurance rates, I guess this is for you two, are going to counteract that? So, Joey, go back to the, Nostradamus, please, on what you're expecting. And before you answer that, I still want to... Jostradamus, I know.
The most unfair question you could ask Joey. But Joey, go for it.
He definitely is, and I get it. But
okay.
it's still, he's still pretty on board with all that stuff. But the part that's hard for me to understand is why people are complaining that rates are high. And I guess it's always what you're used to. So for me, my first home was 18%, an adjustable rate mortgage. And I didn't really have any credit or anything else. I get all that. And I bought it for a $100,000 home, and I had a $1,000 a month mortgage.
Okay, boomer.
I am a boomer, and I'm okay with that, I'm not going to hold that to the end of my... But now, yeah, great. Things dropped all the way down to the 2s. But that's kind of unheard of. That's not the norm that people think it is.
No.
Yeah, that's definitely not something that you should be expecting. Will it ever happen again? Maybe. I'm never going to say no again.
Well, it happened once before because my grandparents bought their first home and they had a 2 to 3% mortgage. So it happened back then.
No, I mean, that was before MBS in the 70s and when the government got involved in mortgages. So, anyway, it doesn't matter. So, the only thing I'd say about that is right now there is a 86% of futures traders believe that we're going to see a 50 bips cut in the Fed funds rate in the September meeting.
So half a point.
20%, half a point, yeah, sorry. 25%, or not 25, 12% believe that there's going to be a 25 bips cut. And then down the road in November and December, there is an expectation for an additional at least 25 bips cut to the rate. So by the end of the year, that would be close to a full point in federal funds rate, which would be great. But those are things that are already being priced into the market because that's what the expectation is. If the cuts exceed expectations, then we're going to see mortgage rates drop more. If they are short of expectation, they cut less than expected, then we will see mortgage rates rise. So it's all about sticking to what we expect to happen.
Well, I think also, let's bear in mind, why do they drop interest rates? It's to stimulate the economy. It's because things are getting
Gas
soft.
pedal, brake pedal.
As things are getting soft. So understand, looking at mortgage interest rates without having a broader view on the economy is a bit myopic because there are going to be other things that are affecting your ability to afford, whatever the monthly payment is, and there will be winners and losers. If the economy gets really soft, we'll see them be more aggressive with rate drops, and it means that there's other stuff going on in the economy, and all of a sudden we're going to be like, oh, remember back when everything was great and I was making all that money, I should have jumped in then and just rode out some of the higher interest and make those payments so that I could take advantage now that things are a little less certain as far as how strong my own personal economy is. If, on the other hand, things are more of the soft landing that we're trying to navigate, I wouldn't expect interest rates to really dramatically drop. I mean, trying to time the market is a fool's errand. Just don't try.
Always has been, always will be.
And I don't know if that's. I get it. It's designed to spark. Let's press the gas, press the brake. I get all that. But honestly, I think that the interest rates are more of a reaction to the actual housing market as opposed to the housing market being a reaction to the interest rates. Prove me wrong.
Yeah, there's definitely a chicken or the egg aspect to that because the Fed has been known to increase the rates when the housing market gets too frothy and gets too active and they want to slow things down. But also when those rates go down, I mean, the amount of people I talk to that are still saying, like, when rates come down, I'm going to go out and buy a house. I'm like, do you think you're the only? Do you think you're the only person that has that thought right now? It's like, so if you wait for the rates to come down, the prices are going to go up. So it's just you can't like you said, you can't really time it perfectly. No matter how hard you try.
I have been watching some stats, and I could say that for me, and when I get involved in the real estate, the contract was just signed. That's my little window that I get involved in there. When our phone rings harder, the interest rates are getting ready to go up or they're just starting to go up. I think that's more of a...
That's traditionally the case, as a matter of fact. It's counterintuitive in some respects because you go, if interest rates are going up, it means that your monthly payments are going up. And when I'm talking about interest rates specifically in this context, I'm talking about mortgage interest rates. Those are a specific that's a specific interest rate, all right? And don't conflate mortgage interest rates with the federal funds rate because that's the interest rate that the Federal Reserve has control over, and that's it. That's the one interest rate they control, and all that's meant to do is to control the amount of money in the money supply. When interest rates go down, it gets cheaper to borrow money, and businesses, primarily businesses that can borrow money to grow, they borrow that money because they go, it would be foolish not to. When interest rates go up, money is more expensive to borrow, and it doesn't make sense to try to aggressively grow when that money is more expensive. Now, it has knock-on effects that do have effects on mortgage interest rates. But it's important, I think, to emphasize as much as possible that all of these things they act independently to a certain extent. Joey, am I wrong?
No, not at all. I'm 1,000%. Yeah, I have nothing that can add value to what you just said.
Except an EV charger in your garage. All right?
Or a urinal.
Oh my goodness.
urinal,
I
let's-
don't have a
There's not
urinal
enough of
in
that.
my garage
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
yet.
It's not even hooked up to plumbing. That's the bizarre thing. It's just,
There's
it's
not
just,
even plumbing in my garage.
it just goes out the back of the garage. It's like took a hole in it. It's
You are not
like
invited to my home.
It's like a hillbilly urinal.
well, I mean, you know.
Somehow I feel like I'm the target and I'm in the pickle barrel right now, and I don't know what's going on.
I
there.
don't
So
know what it means, but yeah, you're in the pickle barrel.
it's and I just went to go do a quick look. Somebody wanted to know if this house had foundation problems and stuff like. And it was close to my house, and I hate doing those things because it always ends up with, well, how about this and how about that? Can you look at this? I'm doing this for nothing, you know.
Yeah.
It's like if you want to,
No good deed.
no
Yeah.
good deed goes unpunished.
Yeah.
But when we finished and we were getting ready to leave, he did share with me, you know, because these houses were right next door to each other. It was, I guess it's a neighborhood that's called Skevinston. And when he first said that, I was like, well, that's kind of degrading to Evanston. I really like that town,
What's
you know.
wrong with Skokie?
That's what it was. I
Yeah.
learned that the hard way. It's like an area that has part of Skokie.
Yeah.
Why do you hate Skokie?
I know where it's at.
Yeah, it has part of Skokie stuff and part of
it's probably got
Evanston, so they
Skokie
call it
schools.
Skevinston.
Yeah.
And now I can giggle at that. You know, I can see where that's funny. But these houses were right next to each other, and one of them was at $550,000, and the other one was at $400,000. That's a $150,000 difference. Same floor plan, same layout, same everything else. One was in very bad shape. You know, one was in just bad shape. All right.
And the other had a garage urinal.
And I don't have a garage.
Don't
yet.
underestimate the
I
value of
don't
that.
have, look at me now. I'm saying I don't have a garage in my urinal. What the heck?
It adds a good 10, 15K value to any home. Any home. You can
I
quote
mean,
me on
like
that.
I said, I
Wait a
never
minute,
heard
Ryan.
of
Is that true? Because I might put one in there now.
Like I said, I hadn't heard of that until today, and now that I've heard about it, I'm like, that's actually not a bad idea.
See?
Especially when it's a detached garage and it's a long walk, and I put a mini split heat pump out there.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah,
I wouldn't put it next to the EV charger. I'd probably keep them, good 10, 20 feet from each other.
Why, in case somebody calls you and you look over your shoulder and you turn around. You know, we're back at when we're 4-year-olds and we can't aim straight anymore.
Oh my
Or
God.
40-year-olds and we can't aim straight. Either way.
Devin's
You know?
he's just gonna throw all of this recording in the trash. And
Oh, yeah.
where it's just gonna be easy listening tunes from 6 to 7 a.m. on 820 WCPT, where facts matter.
All right, April's giving us another. She's picking on me too. April's giving us another comment, and this is more geared at you, Ryan. I saw a report that Redfin did today that shows they are expecting an influx of homes in the next month due to a lot of people selling. I hope it's true because that's more work for home inspectors. And as much as y'all talk about a urinal in Charlie's garage, I'm starting to believe it. That's not true. I don't have a urinal in my garage.
The more you deny it, the more it's obvious that you do. And let me just, Ryan, this is obviously a question for you, but this is such a highly local question to answer.
It is. Yeah, micro markets and all that. But go,
Yeah.
shoot.
So what was the question?
She said that Redfin came out with the report expecting more listings.
Yeah.
In short.
Yeah, Mr. Redfin.
Well, and that tends to be the case this time of year, regardless, because a lot of people, contrary to popular belief, the summer in Chicago is not a great time to sell your home.
Spring.
It's horrible. It's it's once you hit 4th of July weekend, the market slows down drastically. People are on on vacations or going to weddings, and I would say at post 4th of July, I get more showing activity Monday through Thursday than the rest of the time of the year
Interesting.
where it's all weekend showings because people travel, people are going out of town. So I would say, it's just generally speaking, that's what happens this time of year. I know a lot of people, they will either take their home off the market for the summer or they decide not to list, and they're waiting for, the fall market, when people are, going back to school and that sort of thing. So
I could tell you this much, though. In the fall market, the houses that we inspect, they are horrible.
Yeah.
You know,
It's-
seriously, the nicest homes are. What I found is we get a lot of starter homes somewhere around February, March, but they're in good shape. And then when we get into the summer months, we get these big monster homes. You know, like I said, we got a crew of 7 out in Arlington Heights today, and 12,000 square foot house. So we get a bunch of those things that are happening. But then once we start getting to the later months of the year, it seems like everybody's buying these houses that, you know, we're documenting 100, 150 items wrong with these
Yeah.
things. And it's you know, but all I'm hearing from you right now is what I like to refer to as the pendulum swing. So whether it's a buyer's power or seller's power or leverage, you know, but it's mostly been a seller's power
Yeah. And
for years now.
I actually had this conversation with some clients that I sold their condo in Lincoln Park earlier this year, and they're looking to buy, but they're renting. They just said, you know, when we find the right place, we'll act on it. And I told them, I said, if you want to find a quote unquote deal, like deal season is, you know, I would say August. Man, August still gets a little hot, but certainly September to November, that's when you're going to be able to find a better deal, because you know there's a finite number of people that buy homes every year. There's only so many people that are going to be buying that year, and so many of them have already bought at that point. So now at that time of the year in the fall, you will have a lot less competition. You're gonna be looking at homes, like you're not going to have the same level of inventory, but you're not going to have the same level of competition either. So it's kind of like, you know, pick your poison.
But that pendulum does swing.
100%. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Very few people want to move November, December, February,
Absolutely.
January, February.
that's because we get very poor mileage per kilowatt hour
That's
in the
right.
winter months in our electric vehicles.
It's the main issue, yeah. But you know that, and that's, you know, when you talk about, you know, the supply and demand of a market, you know, the supply will be less, the demand will be even less. But yeah, I mean, ask any landlord if they want to have a lease expire in November,
Right.
December.
That's why they'll have
Absolutely
them
not.
sign like an 18-month lease during the, you know, that time of year, or 6 months or whatever the case.
Seems like everybody wants them around June, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I think May 31st is the biggest move out day of the year, traditionally speaking. I mean, it coincides with school schedules, which is
Makes
not
sense.
surprising at all.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, what percentage of the population is in school or has, you know, is strictly beholden to a traditional school schedule? I mean, a huge percentage.
And we don't really have a lot of, you know, I hear other inspectors talking nationwide in military bases, and I guess there's a season for that too. When
Joey?
military personnel, yeah, Joey, you would know this.
PCS season, baby.
What is that called?
PCS season. It is a permanent change in your duty station.
And what is that
So,
always
every
done at the
spring.
same time every year?
Every spring, yes.
Spring.
It
So
makes
March,
sense.
April, that's where we see a lot of military folk move.
If you're shuffling the deck, so to speak, and moving people around, I mean, you know, it won't be a 1-for-1 with each service person who's moving around, but there's only so much housing that is proximate to each duty station, I guess. Duty station. You have one of those in your garage too?
No, I don't. And I don't know what it was, if it was Family Guy or which one, or South Park. But when you said duty, I'm like, oh my God, I feel like, you know, I feel like I'm watching one of the cartoons.
Speaking strictly in the sense of the duty one has to their country when they join the U.S. military.
I appreciate that. So that is a big deal. I'm just flabbergasted. I don't know. I hear duty coming out of Patrick, my most mature real estate attorney that I know. He's the only one I know, but still,
That's-
he is the most mature.
That's a low bar.
And it's a good bar to have in there. So, I don't know. Patrick, I mean, not Patrick, but again, Ryan, I keep getting you two names mixed
My
up
middle
here.
name is Patrick, so it's,
Ah.
yeah.
Oh, my God, if that isn't the Irish name of all time, right?
Ryan Patrick
Ryan
McCain.
Patrick McCain,
It's a
yeah.
guy- like,
The
I should-
patron saint of the island of Ireland. Yeah,
No,
I mean, it
it's the
does make
patron
sense.
state of real estate. Are you kidding me? I know that guy. You know?
I should be on the Lucky Charms box with that much of an aggressively Irish name.
God, how many? Yeah, now you got me just wanting to know how many marshmallow flavors there are. And I remember when they went from 4 to 5 with the stars.
Just don't go
All
to
right.
Ireland and call yourself Irish. They do not agree that any of us
would,
are Irish.
yeah, I would
Well, I'll
never,
let you-
never say that. I
Yeah.
would never,
With a last name like Bellefontaine, which is technically a French last name, going to France, they will tell you that you are not French. that is not French. That is Canadian. You
Yeah,
know,
that's-
and I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
That's just part
You
of,
know?
of going through customs in Paris is them just explicitly telling you, you are not French. Ugh."
That's also like even like to take it to like a local level. Even Chicagoans, we get mad when people say they're from Chicago.
I'm
when they
from
live-
Chicago.
they
Oh,
live
yeah,
in
yeah, yeah.
Elmhurst or
If you
something.
didn't go to high school in the city and you go, I'm from Chicago.
I'm from Chicago.
Anyone from Chicago will absolutely roast you.
Right.
What high school did you go to? I went to Fremd. You say you're from Chicago?
I went to New Trier.
I went to East
Pathetic.
Sliding. Exactly. I am from Chicago, and I'm going to stick to that story. and
Yeah,
stuff.
and then they go, I went to St. Rita, and you need to shut your mouth.
Well, St. Rita's a pretty tough school.
Eh?
You know, that and Leo, you go down to the south side, and when you walk through there and you see all their football trophies, it's pretty intimidating when you're bringing your brand new football team down there to play these guys. And they score 2 touchdowns a quarter against our guys. But
It's 'cause
anyway.
they can recruit from all over the
Yeah,
area.
it
so-
was amazing and stuff. Listen, we're running out of time and stuff like that. Patrick, if you don't mind, close up a little bit. Give us your contact information.
Close up a little bit.
Yeah, I didn't know what to say, so I
Close-
just spewed something. Final words.
Close me. Final words. So, find me on social media. On Instagram, my handle is Loftus_law. On TikTok, my handle is at LoftusLaw.
Sounds good.
All right.
Ryan, Patrick. I want to throw in a Michael anyway.
Just all the stereotypical.
Gotta get 'em all in there.
Seamus.
Oh my God.
My Instagram is at RPM Chicago, and my cell is 708-668-6613, and my email address is Ryan.mckane, MCKANE, @redfin.com.
Sounds good. Joey, please.
Yes, sir. Joey Matthews, the VA Loan Nerd. You can find me at thevalonenerd.com or across all the social medias as at the VA Loan Nerd. You can call or text me at 630-235-2405.
And anybody who's listening right now, get a pen and paper out. You can start with my phone number. It's 312-544-9180. Behave, young man. But one thing I like and value about the guests that we bring on here, and Patrick and Joey, is they all have the passion to help other human beings. And these guys will answer your questions. They're not going to look to sell you the business or anything else like that. They just want you to make a smart decision. And these are some of the smartest people that I surround myself with, and I'm very thankful for all of them. All right. With that being said, I'd like to give a special thank you to Devin Tingle. He makes everything work here. We're giggling a little bit because we had some whoopsies. My name is Charlie, and I am out. Thank you.